Hello guys! Are you also struggling with making gold in World of Warcraft at the moment? The gold making in War Within has certainly slowed down, and I get a lot of people asking me how can they actually make gold right now? How can they make their first million? How can they make enough gold for the Brutosaur? And hopefully I will be able to give you some ideas and some tips and tricks on how you can actually reach your goal of at least making your first million. I'm going to show you 3 different ways that I like to do and also that I think is suitable for anyone to do. So we will start with the easier methods, and the last method is going to be a little bit more complicated, but it's also the one that can really scale up and actually get you infinitely more gold than the other methods, but also it's a little bit more frightening than the others, especially for newer players. But let's get right into it. So as you guys might have noticed right now in the War Within, the actual gold per hour that you are able to make from stuff such as mining and herbalism and other kind of gathering and farming is getting lower and lower, and probably a realistic goal to reach right now when gathering, I would say, would be around 10 to 20k an hour. The economy is not at the best stage right now, I would say, but this is actually going to be the easiest thing to do and the easiest thing to get into when doing gold making as a beginner or making your first gold, which is always going to be important. You're always going to need gold to make more gold. But the first route I would really suggest to new players or people starting out with a low amount of gold is actually going for gathering. So either going for mining and herbalism, or trying out something like skinning, or just going for any type of gold farm. Right now in the War Within, you have the option as well to go for a dual profession like tailoring and inscription to get both cloth and dark moon cards when looting certain mobs. So that's also a way to go to do farming with tailoring and inscription. To do farming with tailoring and inscription and or skinning, you should be looking in the pre-made custom groups for any type of farm. As you can see, there are some 2x4 farming cloth that can be good. Also, you're gonna have like skinning farms, skinning shield group, as you can see here. Those are farms where you actually skin together. This is going to be infinitely better than doing it yourself, so I would highly recommend that if you want to pull bigger numbers than what you can do when you solo farm. Solo farm right now is not going to be the best, and it's probably not going to make you any significant gold, so I highly recommend doing it with other people, even if that can be annoying for some people and sometimes it's a little bit harder to find groups. I highly recommend that if you're going for the farming route. For farming, I probably would say like around 20k an hour is like a rough estimate on what you can get. Probably you can get more if you're in a really good group and have optimal setups, and maybe you can get less if you're not as good. It all depends on who is playing right. So hopefully we will see the markets go up a bit in the future so we can start to see some better numbers, because 10 to 20k an hour farming or gathering doesn't sound like a lot right now, and it isn't. The gold making in the War Within right now is quite stale. You are not going to make hundreds of thousands of gold an hour with anything pretty much that has to do with farming or professions or anything. You're not going to be able to see those numbers now unless you're doing some crazy stuff that I don't know about. But making 20k an hour stable, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up, and when you get some more gold you can get into other things that are more relaxing, and that can be things such as crafting professions. So what we're gonna talk about now is crafting professions. There is a lot of different crafting professions right now in the game, and they vary on how good they are and how easy they are to get into. Generally right now with doing crafting professions, there are a lot of options to do like AFK crafting that basically requires you to only go to the PC like once every 30 minutes if you're really mass crafting, so that you can almost say it is semi-passively gold making or like at least AFK crafting, and you can really mass craft a lot. And in the War Within, mass crafting is a large part of the crafting game. And because of this, and because you can craft so insanely fast with all of the different crafting buffs that you can have, you're gonna have to craft a lot of stuff and sell it to make any significant gold, at least with like the reagents and most of the things that you're actually crafting for the War Within. As a new player, I would highly recommend you to get into something like enchanting, jewel crafting, or engineering. Those are, in my opinion, pretty low barrier to entry right now, and enchanting is the easiest one to get into because that is the one that immediately will grant you enough knowledge points in one day that you can actually fill out so much and go for whatever route you want to pick. So I would highly recommend you guys to go for enchanting if you're a new player, and you could work on something like a shattering build that shouldn't require too much, and it can give you some AFK steady gold, but it's not going to give you any 100,000 gold an hour, and I hope that nobody says that right now because there are no such crafting at the moment. But as I said, enchanting easy to get into, engineering pretty easy, jewel crafting pretty easy as well. Those are professions. You will mainly go for mass crafting builds, which will allow you to craft a lot while being AFK, and that is right now a lot of the gameplay with the professions, crafting and being AFK. So if you do not like to AFK craft, professions is probably not going to be the thing for you now, because that's pretty much the only option, because to get any like good gold out of it and good gold per hour, I hate to use gold per hour while crafting because there is no such thing in my opinion, but to actually get some kind of gold value out of your time, you need to craft a lot pretty much. So if you don't like that, crafting professions is probably not a thing for you. You will also have to compete in the auction house PvP quite a lot, rescanning, reposting and stuff. That is just the name of the game right now. So if you do not like that, you should go for farming, for the next method that we're going to talk about in a little bit. A quick few things that I would highly recommend you guys to get if you're starting a crafting character and you are going to craft a lot. You need to buy the File of Quick Hands, which is a Dragonflight file that actually impacts your War Within craft, so you will craft a lot faster. It's mandatory to craft at max speed right now because that's the only way you're going to see some good numbers. Also, I would highly recommend you to get the Weaver's Prodigy buff that you get from Ashka Het, the Zone Ashka Het in the War Within. You get it by being Renown 4 or Renown 7. At Renown 4 you will get the 15% crafting speed, and at Renown 7 you will get the 30%, which will allow you to always max craft. So start working on that. You will get the buff every week by choosing the Weaver's Pact, and you will automatically get it. So go ahead and do that if you wanna start crafting as well. I have a lot of crafting videos on my channel for all of the different professions. I won't be able to include builds and stuff in this video, so go ahead and check those out if you're interested in more particular profession gold making. But generally, I would say if you're doing crafting professions, you will be looking at something around 10 to maybe upwards of 50k gold per hour crafting, and then you will have to sell your stuff as well. So I cannot give you a gold per hour because you have to include the selling part, which will vary if you're selling a lot of different items at the same time. The average sale time would go down a lot, so you can't really talk about it that way, but I would say you can craft profit wise 10 to 50k in an hour maybe. It will be very different depending on what margins you have, what you craft, if you're max build or different stuff like that. But that is generally, I would say, the numbers that you can look at right now in the War Within, and it's sadly just going down at the moment. I hope we will get some better prices soon, but I don't think we will, sadly. This will probably be the status of the gold making for the future. Crafting is probably my favorite way to go with making gold, and I do a lot of AFK crafting as well, and I have made a lot of gold in this expansion. I have made around 20 million gold now so far. There are a lot of people out there that have made way more, but 20 million gold is so far what I have made, and it has mainly been through crafting professions. This is what I like to do. I am not a farmer, but I understand that a new crafting system can be a little bit overwhelming, and if you need any help, I'm always here. Just leave a comment on the video and I'll try to help you out. But let's look at the last method of making gold that we're going to bring up today. It's looking really good right now, and I think this is the way going forward, which is going to be able to make you so much gold if you're actually getting into this and learning how this works. This has no limits, and I would say this can bring you upwards of hundreds of thousands of gold per hour played if you're actually doing this correctly. But this is going to be a little bit harder and a little bit more diffuse on like how you actually do it. And what we're going to look at now is going to be cross-realm trading. So since the War Bank released, you can actually transfer items so easily between servers, right? You can just buy on one server, put it into the War Bank and sell it on another server. This is the thing that people do right now to make the most amount of gold that they can. I would say this is going to be the way going forward for the really big guys, and they are already on it because it is so good. And I have actually gotten into this a little bit lately, and I've been trying to sell quite a few stuff on a lot of different servers. So when I did this, I started with a small amount of servers and worked my way up, because as you guys might know, that's always how I do. I try something at small scale and I ramp up as I see it does well. But the basic of what you're gonna do with this method is you buy something that is not on the region-wide auction house, so that is server specific, and all the stuff that you see that can stack in your bag, like for example the pigments right here, is going to be region-wide, and all the things that takes up one bag space each is going to be server specific. So that is like the basics of what is server specific and what is region-wide items to sell. So what you're going to want to look at, of course, is going to be server-specific stuff, because otherwise there wouldn't be different prices on different realms. But this way of making gold can be a little bit more risky, because you have to invest your own gold. So if you do not have any capital, this is not going to be the thing for you. But what you can do is farm a lot of gold and then get into this. You can start to get into this way before you have 1,000,000 gold. You just need some kind of starter capital to do this. But let's talk about a few items that I like to do this with, and that I think will in the future continue to do really well. The first thing we're gonna say is mounts. Mounts has server specific prices, and they actually vary a lot. So you can buy cheap mounts on one server and sell on other servers. What I would highly recommend though, if you're new to this, is to go for the cheaper mounts. Cheaper mounts sell more often and they are not such a big investment. So what I recommend is that you can even start trying the Garn Night Owl. You can do the Coalfist Gronlin. You can actually get into doing the Steelbound Harness. This one is one of my favorites because it sells fairly well and it's cheap and it varies a lot in price in my opinion. So that one is great. I think Mechanohog is also doing good, and the Sky Golem is good as well. Then you're going to look at like every mount is going to be good, but those are the ones that I found like is doing quite well and I think is like highly sought after. So they are like my favorite mounts to sell. So the next thing that isn't mounts is going to be profession equipment. So I have tried out to actually craft profession equipment and or buy profession equipment on cheaper servers and sell on more expensive ones. It seems to be working out pretty good. Like you won't be able to buy one gear and go to another server and sell it immediately. So what you want to do when you do this is you're gonna want to have a large stock and then go to multiple servers and sell. This might sound hard, but it actually isn't, and you can scale up. Like start small, go to one other server, then go to one more and one more and one more, and this can actually generate you a lot of gold. And I highly recommend you to like try cross-server selling. I will be making more in-depth videos on this soon, which probably will make you realize that this is the real deal if you want to make millions upon millions amount of gold, because this looks really good, the cross-server selling. But yeah, once again, professional equipment is doing fairly good. What you want to do is you either want to craft or buy the max level ones and sell on other servers where the prices are better. You do not want to look at selling stuff at like 10 or 20% margins in this case. When you move stuff across servers, I would highly recommend you to look at double, triple, quadrupling your price on what you bought it for, because you can look at so insane prices. I am getting thousands of % in margins sometimes when I sell stuff. I am not selling those for like 20% margins. It's too much of a hassle. and you can get really good margins on this. So do not go for low margins, then just skip that servers and find another one that sells for way more, because you can actually get so good margins. And we do not want to push down the prices on every server, because that's going to kill this gold making. So you want to get like at least 100% margins. I would say I do like 100%, 150% as minimum margins when doing cross selling on those profession gears. On mounts like high value stuff, you can look at something else. I also know that recipes is a really great way to make gold across server. Selling the War Within patterns is going to be really good. You can buy them so cheap on some servers and sell them for so much more gold on others. You can get insane margins on doing this. Like, you're not gonna see those margins anywhere else with like crafting or farming or anything like that. It is cross realm selling that is going to give you so big margins. So you should try it out, but do not expect anything crazy. Do not expect to buy a pattern here, go to another server and sell it in 1 second. You need a bulk, you need a lot of stuff to sell, and you will see sales coming, but you cannot do it with singular items, because those items are slow selling stuff, so you're not gonna sell a lot every single day. I know that more experienced guys is into transmog and stuff as well. That's probably really good, and that's probably where you're gonna see even insaner amount of gold. I'm not into it. I probably won't get into it unless I feel like in the future, because those stuff sell way too slow for me, even though you can do it on a lot of servers. Still, in my opinion, it's too annoying, but it works really good and you can get insane margins on that as well. But if you want to do like the easier stuff to sell, I would highly recommend like profession gear, recipes, mount, and whatever you can find, bags, whatever that you can trade across realm is going to be really good. I hope it doesn't sound like too overwhelming with this cross server stuff, and I hope that I have been detailed enough so at least you can try. And I will once again say that you can find all of the other profession stuff on my channel, and this cross realm stuff I will make more videos on soon, because this is going to be the new thing. And farming, I don't have any farming videos yet, but you can find that somewhere else. I hope this video has given you some type of information that is valuable for you, and I hope you will make your first million gold soon. It's not that far away. You will make it eventually, and I'm always here to help you. Ask me anything and I will do my best to help you on your way. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.